Alright, I'm just going to show you how I'm sharpening a chainsaw. I'm not going to give you a 25-minute tutorial. I'm just going to give you a quick one. What you're doing is you see you got an angle. Now this chain doesn't have the actual pitch angle on it. Or does it on the rakers? I don't know if it's just because it's a small chain or whatever. But the way this works is you have a tooth this way. Most people understand this tooth. And I don't know if I have the exactly 100% correct file, but I've got, that's too big. So I've got this here, and you got all kinds of angles on this. So what you want to do is match the tooth's angle. Some of them are a bit more, some of them are a bit less, but you want to be uniform and always push away on the tooth. Yeah, so I think this file might be a little bit too big, but it's what I got for now, so that's what I'm going to use for now, and I'll make it work. And you just got to stay at the right angle on each tooth. And I do 3 this way, 3 that way. I just turn the saw. And then you got your rakers. A lot of people don't understand what the raker does. What this does is it sets the depth of your tooth so that it doesn't bite too much. But if your tooth gets worn down too much, it also clears the sawdust out of the way. But what it also does is it gives you just enough bite so you're not just, like chomping in with a full, like if that wasn't there, your chain would probably just be too bitey and it'd just stall out the saw or whatever. And if your chain is too dull or too worn out, this here kind of takes up that the height. So the idea with this is that you just basically take off just enough that way, and then you can see it's kind of rounded, this way. So you want to keep with that kind of pitch, that rounded pitch, and just take off enough so that you can see that this is slightly lower than the height of the tooth. And there is gauges you can get to do it, but if you're just doing it by hand, it's a kind of a bit of an art form. But you just usually I do a couple of swipes and whatever, and then that way, if your saw is getting too bitey, then you've taken off too much. And if your saw is not cutting, it's because your tooth is actually went below the raker. So it's pretty straightforward. And I'll just do a quick demo just so you can see it, how I'm doing it. So I get my tooth. I'll show you the top side here. So here's my angle. So I must maintain this angle on the tooth for each tooth each time. And not only the angle this way, but this way. I got to stay level as I can. If you can use a vise, it's better. Use whatever works best for you. So 1, 2, 3. And I don't draw back. I just go forward. And then I do the next tooth. 1, 2, 3, and I just gotta keep my mind where you started. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then probably just go like this here. 1, 2, 3. I think this one. 1, 2, 3. Yep. And then switch the other way. We can't really see it that well, but you're just essentially doing the same thing, going the opposite way. Oil everywhere. This tailgate's full of oil. I wonder why. So we go. Yeah, got a nice little pick there. I'm going about halfway again. And like if you do this often enough, okay, like you don't wait till your saw is dull before you sharpen it, is the point I'm going to make here. Nice edge. Maybe one more here. I think that's the last one. You can mark the tooth that you start with. Yep. Good and picky. With a marker or something like that. Or if not, just make a mental note of the tooth you start with. A short chain like this doesn't take long. So, and then for the rakers, the same thing. Just do a little bit each time. Not the best file. Let's get some files. Just when you're doing the rakers, watch you don't hit the edge of the tooth there. This file's not doing too much. Just make sure you stay uniform with that, or else you can create problems. That's pretty much all there is to it, and I'm just going to go around the rest. And I'm going to find another file because I don't think this file is doing very much for me. So. But that's basically what you do. You just touch these up. When you feel a nice pick there, make sure they're all nice and uniform. Do both sides. And if you find your saws cutting like this, you're too sharp on one side. If your saw is really dull, it'll also cut crooked as well. So you'll crooked if you got one side sharper than the other. It'll, like, you won't notice it on a short log, but on a long log it'll start to do that, and then it'll jam on you. So what you're looking for is when your cuts that they come down nice and straight and even, then you know you got it. And you should see big chunks of wood chips. Even with a small saw, it should create big chunks of wood chips when you cut. So when you cut, if you don't see big chunks of wood chips, your saw is dull. And then you'll be over revving, you're hurting your saw. And a dull saw is a dangerous saw. Saws are dangerous enough as it is, but a dull saw is definitely a dangerous saw. If you yeah, again, have too much rakers down too far, it'll bite. You can buy gauges. I recommend getting the gauges. I even got I got something like this, you know, like things like this work. It allows you to do your rakers and your I forget where I got that, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, so it allows you to do your rakers and your teeth. So anyway, hopefully that helps, and hopefully that video wasn't too long. So yeah, there you go.